Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. On behalf of my colleague, Sana Tayem, and our guest speaker for today, Samudra, I would like to welcome you to our session. Of course, today we will be talking about the topic, how to write your LLM personal statement. And our guest speaker, Samudra Kugel, she is the Chief Officer at the Global Outreach Office at the School of Law at University of California, Davis. And so she will be talking about, what is your LLM personal statement. She will be sharing some general tips and advice, things to include and what not to include. And of course, you will have a chance to also ask your questions during the session. So if you have any questions, please make sure to write them in the chat box and we will answer them at the end of the session. And also, if you are watching us on Facebook right now, you can also ask your questions in the comments section. But before we hand it over to Samudra, we would like to first give you an overview about Education USA, just in case you are joining us for the first time. So Education USA is the U.S. Department of State network. There are over 430 advising centers in 178 countries and territories, as you can see on the screen. Our advising services are for free. And for example, we have virtual sessions. We visit schools, we visit universities. At the end of the day, we offer free, accurate, comprehensive, and current information for students who are interested in studying in the US. We have, different center group information sessions, individual consultations, pre-departure orientation sessions, and more. We also have, different college fairs and virtual sessions with university representatives. And of course, because of COVID, starting, March of last year, we actually moved virtual advising. And so all of our sessions have been, through Zoom and other social media platforms as well. And also, I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Sana Tayem, and she will talk to you about the 5 steps to your study and how you can reach out to other Education USA advising centers in your respective countries. Sana, you're muted, Sana.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marwa. Thank you all for joining us today. And thank you to Samudra again for what we hope will be another successful engagement with our audience today. Just to give you an overview of your 5 steps to US study, you will find all of the information that you may need when you begin your research and all the resources that will definitely help you in terms of researching potential schools to apply to, financial aid requirements, the application process through your 5 steps to US study. And so the first the step is researching your options. And of course, there are a variety of options, and there are over 1,000 universities that offer graduate programs. And so be sure to allow yourself enough time to conduct a thorough research about potential graduate schools and programs. Step 2 is financing your studies, which will include information on assessing your personal funds, learning more about the cost of financing your education, what are the costs associated with graduate study in the US, tips on how you can reduce your educational costs, and of course, important note here, some of the deadlines for scholarships and grants can be as early as 18 months before your program start date. So make sure that you have a full understanding of the scholarship information, including the deadlines for applying. And it also will provide you with links for general funding sources. Step 3 is completing your application. And so it's very important again here to emphasize planning ahead and know the documents and requirements to apply for your program. Step 4 is applying for your student visa. And so this section of the website, educationusa.state.gov, will again offer you information about the US student visa requirements and how it will help you understand the requirements and also preparing for applying for that visa. Step 5 is preparing for your departure. Key components to this final step include making travel arrangements, attending pre-departure orientation sessions at your local Education USA Advising Center or online, and gathering pre-departure materials and documents for arrival, as well as reporting to your school official and attending orientations on campus when you arrive. Next slide, please. This is just another section of the website, which will also offer you additional resources for financial aid and special opportunities. And so in this section, you'll also have a chance to find out what universities and colleges are offering in terms of financial aid and fellowships and other scholarship opportunities. And so we have many universities and colleges that do upload updated information about their financial aid opportunities. Next slide, please. Again, on the same website, you'll also receive updated information on visa-related issues and guidance and updated announcements from the Department of Homeland Security. And so again, all the information that you need, particularly during the time of COVID, and things are still fluid in many parts of the world. And so learning about the visa process in certain countries, there may be certain requirements that you need to be aware of. And so again, this section will offer you updated information from the U.S. Department of State and Department of Homeland Security. Next slide, please. And this is our social media platforms and our email. But please do be sure to, again, check out the educationusa.state.gov website to find the advising center nearest you. And if you are having issues and would like us to connect you with the advisor and advising center near you, please feel free to contact us at ramallah@educationusa.org. Now it is my great pleasure to welcome Samudra, who will share her information about the statement of purpose. Samudra, please, welcome.
Thank you so much, Sana, and thank you so much, Marwa. I was just a little bit ago saying we make a really great team with Education USA, and this is my second time I'm working with Marwa and Sana, and it was been absolute pleasure working with them, and very easy to work with them. And I really encourage the audience to work with Education USA because they are in the field. They are very close to you, more than universities. I mean, location-wise or the time zone-wise. So take the opportunity. And again, thank you so much, Education USA. And today, I'm going to talk about how to write your personal statement. I'm from University of California School of Law. And obviously, I'm coming from an LL.M program from the law school. So I'm talking about focusing on LL.M personal statement. But if you're here in the audience, if you wanted to apply for a master's or a PhD program, I would say almost all of this information going to be relevant to you, but I'll be obviously giving examples from the law content, but feel free to stay if you just here to apply for a master's or a PhD program, even in a different discipline. We are going to talk about how to write your personal statement, but we are going to talk about this in 3 different sections. So first, we are going to talk about what is the personal statement and why we should write one and how to write one. So those are the 3 different areas today I'd like to focus. Let me try to get the screen bigger. Okay, and what is the personal statement? This is an essential component of your LL.M application. This is a written statement This is a story. This is your story. This is not your family story or your school story or anything like that. This is your story. So it's really important, the process of writing the personal statement, for you to think about that. And this is a picture. You as a person, a student, a professional, and a scholar, you wanted to paint a picture about yourself to the admission committee. So think about this. This is a story and this is a picture when you're visioning your personal statement. It's really important to do that. That way you're on track and you focus when you're writing this very important part of your LLM application or graduate school application. Since personal statements are very personal, there is no single structure or a format to follow. So I get many students talk to me and they wanted to know, is there a template or is there a specific format? I always say no, it is your story, it is your personal statement. So there's no specific structure, but I keep students asking this question over and over. I think it's nice that if we can provide some type of structure. So today I'm going to kind of talk about a template or a structural version just to guide you. But again, there's no expectation you have to follow that. So just keep that in mind. But if you don't have a personal statement and this is the first time you're doing this, it is good to follow some of my information and structure. Kind of, you will see the goal is end of the presentation, you kind of have a outline for your personal statement. And why you should write a stellar, that means awesome, great personal statement. In most cases, this is your interview. If you're applying for an LLM program, some law schools may do have an interview for you. But if you don't have an interview, the personal statement is your interview. And my law school, University of California, School of Law, Davis School of Law, we do not have an interview. So this is the personal statement become very important part of the admission process. And this is an invitation from the admission committee to get to know you. So that means after admission committee read your personal statement, they should have a feeling they know you. So this is an opportunity. And also this is a place that for you to demonstrate your writing ability. Again, some law schools may give a prompt and ask for you to answer that essay question or a prompt. But in my experience, that personal statement is a place that you can demonstrate your writing ability if there's no essay or prompt. Even there's an essay or prompt, this is another place, another key place for you to demonstrate your writing ability. In a law school especially, it's writing become very important, part of your curriculum, part of your success. So the law school admission committees like to know you're a good writer. Are you able to make sense of your writing? And finally, this is your opportunity to shine. So I tell all my students, I know that culturally, wherever you come from, which country you're from, that you may shy to write about yourself. Maybe in your culture, talking about yourself may be looked down upon. Maybe it's not a great thing. Maybe when you're growing up, your parents told you or your grandparents told you that, or it is not good to talk about yourself. But It is the same in the United States too, but the personal statement or this kind of application process, this is where you needed to brag. So I give you complete permission that you can write about yourself, you can brag, you can talk about, this is all you. So this is your opportunity to shine. Please don't shy to write about yourself. And you have to make a case with all the applicants applying to these programs, very competitive. So you have to stand out, you have to shine definitely to get a secure spot in these competitive application processes. Okay, so let's move into how to write a stellar personal statement. So in the process of putting together this presentation, I interviewed Dr. Beth Greenwood, who is the Associate Dean for our law school, UC Davis School of Law. And she has been in the UC Davis School of Law for 30 plus years. So she have read, and she has been a part of the admission committee for like more than 30 years. So she have read, like, I would say, thousands of personal statements. So I thought she would be a great resource. So when I asked her, she told me, your personal statement should include your personal, academic, and professional background. So you can see there's 3 different areas: personal, academic, and professional. So earlier, a little bit ago, I told you that I'm going to kind of give you a structure. You don't have to necessarily follow, but since so many students are always asking me, I thought of giving this structure. So imagine your vision, your personal statement. If you have nothing, if you have a blank paper right now, write down personal, academic, and professional. So you got 3 different paragraphs. So that's how you're kind of going to build your personal statement. And also, very important, when you are focusing on your personal, academic, and professional background, think about past, present, and future. So now, each of these 3 paragraphs, I kind of point out to you. Personal is the first paragraph, academic and professional. Each of these paragraphs can divide into past, present, and future. So in that way, when you're visioning, you got personal paragraph, but it can divide into 3. So it's almost like automatically it's 2 or 3, almost 3 other paragraphs. So when you really think about it, you got 9 paragraphs right here. But again, you don't have to, you can pick and choose. So you don't have to have this 9 paragraph personal statement. If you can, that's great if you want to. But you may have personal background. You wanted to talk about past and present. And then academic, you wanted to talk about past and future. So it just depends on your own situation. So I'm just kind of give you a little bit of structure to think about, or the vision, your personal statement this way. So let's take those 3 sections one at a time and talk about how to present yourself. And I'm sorry, I have a really bad cough, so I may be drinking some tea while I'm giving this presentation. So the personal background. In this section, these are some questions that for you to answer. So again, you don't have to answer every single question. So I will give you a minute for you to think about how you're going to answer these questions. Any relevant personal history? What inspired you to go into law? Did anyone influence you? Your personal qualities, personal goals. So in this section, you don't have to answer all these 5 questions, but I would choose like 3 out of this 5, and then try to build that personal background section. So when I say any relevant personal history, or what inspired you to go into law, this may be that your grandfather may inspire you because he was a lawyer, and you was very impressed by his work. So you wanted to become a lawyer. So that's your story. That may be different from other people in the audience. So that's the reason that you should elaborate on what inspired you to go into law. But again, don't do this mistake that you may say, my grandfather is a lawyer and he inspired you. Great, we wanted to know that in this section, but don't keep going and talk about your grandfather the whole rest of your personal statement. Then this is becoming your grandfather's personal statement versus yours. So don't do that mistake. I have seen that happening with our students. So any relevant personal history that you were when you were growing up, that you encounter a situation, that's why you wanted to get into law. So please elaborate that in this section if that's the case. And also you may be your a professor inspired you when you're in undergraduate or in high school, you're a teacher, a counselor influenced you. Or you may have a set of personal qualities that like a leadership qualities, and you care about people. So that's why you wanted to study law or further study law in graduate school. So just think about these 5 questions, and I would recommend like about 3 to 4. Pick where you most comfortable to elaborate and put in that personal background section. Okay, so let's move into the academic background section, which is very important. So think about when you're applying to LL.M program that you needed to submit your transcripts, right? So that is kind of your academic story, that when admission committee look at your transcript, that admission committee kind of have a good idea which subjects you're strong, what is your GPA, how many years it took you to graduate. There are a bunch of information like that. And what are your weaknesses, which subjects, that you can tell looking at this transcript document, but not the whole full story. So there, looking at the transcript, there are gaps in your academic story for admission committee. So your job is to fill those gaps using the personal statement, and think about as an opportunity to fill these gaps. So in your personal statement on the education background, you can discuss your education background, talk about which university you did undergraduate studies, and that you already have another master's degree or an MBA, like whatever, or you have done a certificate in criminal justice program, or whatever the degrees you have done, certificates, you can a little bit mention, but your CV and transcripts that can show further. But most important thing that you need to elaborate those gaps. So let's talk about those. So anything significant that you would like to highlight? your GPA, your class ranking, your class percentage, you graduated with honors. I know all of you in the audience, if I took a poll, you may only have you may get a GPA, most of you. You may sometimes get a class ranking, not everybody in the audience today. Or you may get, instead of a ranking, you may get a class percentage. Or your law school give different types of honors. So every law school, every country, even every region, it can be different. So we have, or our admission officers have seen it all. So, but your job is to highlight this, because we get a lot of applications, and it may be not pop up in your transcript, or it may be not even mention your class ranking or percentage in your transcript. But in the personal statement, you can highlight. So if you scale of 4 in your country, that's how you calculate, or it could be 10, scale of 10. Let's talk about scale of 10. And you graduated with 9.5, which you say in your personal statement, in my law school, our GPA calculated out of 10, and I graduated with 9.5, which make me out of 200 students graduation class, I'm like the top 5 of who graduated. I'm just making up this. So whatever your story, that if you have done excellent, if your law school is like 500 students, even if you graduate top 20, that's a big deal. So make sure that that's use your judgment and create that story that to present and highlight yourself. So I have seen people say I'm top 5, top 10, and also I graduated with honors. So the transcript may not have the honors, but you can mention that if that's the case. So we kind of talked about all the great things to highlight, and also top of the class. That's, don't forget, if you graduate top of the class, talk about that, how you graduate with which kind of GPA and how you graduate top of the class. So let's talk about that. Yes, great if you have all those like positive things, but also if you have any that you may think, oh, looking at my transcript, the admission committee may think that I have done my first term really bad or my final year really bad. You may have those self-doubts, that why you always, maybe in your thinking process, you may think that why I might not get accepted looking at my grades. So if there's any explanation, this is a place for you to elaborate. Like, for example, if you have a low GPA, this is a place that you talk about why. So this happened to all of us. Not everybody is perfect, and that's completely understandable. So you may be first year in your law school, you may have to travel thousands of miles away from your home city and live alone, do your laundry, cook, be independent. Nobody there to your parents are not there to help you anymore. So you had a really rough semester or a year. So this is a place that you can talk about whatever. I'm not asking you to make up this story, but I'm asking you if there is a story. I mean, I know my kids always say, oh, I got this grade because of this. So it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. So I highly encourage you to if there's spots that you can identify, or it could be like you can see in the transcript, one term in third year, you did really poorly because you were sick or your grandmother is sick, you had to go home and help. So whatever that story, I'm just asking you, this is a good place to talk about. And also explain your university's grading standards. I hear this all the time from students. Students tell me that, oh, my university only give like 2 people A's, rest they purposely give like B's and C's. Or somebody would come and tell me that 65%, that's like the highest grade my university gives. This is, I would say, normal. I have been in this field for more than 10 years, and I have heard this from many, many students. So whatever your situation, explain that your university situation. And we understand because we have repeatedly heard that from maybe from your same school or same city or same country. So our admission committee is pretty aware of that. So, but it's your job to kind of mention that in your personal statement. Also, I'm mostly interested it's good to talk about why you got a low GPA, why you poorly did a certain term. Most importantly, explain how you have overcome these challenges. So just like I was telling you a minute ago, maybe first year you had not great of a GPA, but you were able to pull yourself up. Second, third years, you did excellent. So talk about how you have overcome these challenges. For example, you became more independent and efficient, and you found a group of friends that to study together, and you change your study habits. And these are some of the things that overcome challenges. So admission committee definitely like to hear about how you overcome challenges and how you finally graduated. Okay, so let's move to the third section, professional background. So this is little not tricky, this is a little different because I know in the audience, we may have current law school students, or we may have recent graduates, or we may have professionals in the field who have been practicing law for years. So I wanted to make sure that when we talk about professional backgrounds, all those 3 groups are included. So, for example, University of California, Davis School of Law, we look to create an LL.M class with different backgrounds and experience. So I can speak for my law school, and in my law school, we invited all those 3 different groups I mentioned: students who are currently pursuing a law degree, students who just graduated law school, lawyers who have been practicing for years. We invite all these 3 different groups. So, but just think about professional background can be changed for each of these group that describing in the personal statement. And also other professionals who have a legal background, we welcome them to apply for our LL.M program too. So let's talk about if you're in the audience, currently in the law school or recent graduates. So if you're currently in law school, I would recommend you may have another year at your law school. Try to, I'm actually giving you all like a long list, but I'm not recommending you to do every single one. But internship, moot court experience, legal clinic, research, student law journals, community services, leadership activities. Those are some of the things that we like you to elaborate in your personal statement, and also we wanted to see in your CV. If you're a current law student, you still have time to at least have one or two of these things done while you're a law student. But again, we are looking for, we do a holistic review. That means that we look at everything, not just one thing. We look at all of your abilities and your application as a whole. So if you have already graduated and if you have not done any of these, don't get discouraged. But I'm telling our law students in the audience, if possible, try to get some of these items part of your portfolio. And also, if you are discussing this in your personal statement, and if you have done a 3-month internship, for example, don't just say that I have done an internship, not in one sentence. And this is a place that you take some time to elaborate your internship. So what does that mean? That means you talk about duration of your internship. You can say, I did a 3-month internship with this law firm or this organization, and my supervisor was this person who had this title, and my day-to-day responsibilities are, and then list your responsibilities, and then talk about, I gain new set of skills like communication or writing cases or clerkship or whatever your new set of skills or the experience you gain from the internship, you can elaborate or talk about that in that paragraph. So don't just say that, because the admission committee can see that if you have done an internship, that may very well in your resume too. So you have to say more than that in your personal statement. And if you, another one like research, if you have done some legal research with your professor, just talk about more. Don't just say I have done research with my professor. Just say which kind of field and just which kind of research methodology you used, and how long the research project, and what was the new set of skills you learned, and did this research led to a presentation, you and your professor gave a presentation, or you publish, and here's the publication. So that's kind of how you build your story. Okay, so that's for the current students, encouraging you to do few of these things, and then recent graduates, if you have done a few of these, just elaborate on. So let's talk about the people who in the audience are professionals. So if you're a recent, graduate, you can still talk about your law school experiences like internships, research, all that. But if you've been in the field, there are some other topics you can discuss too. Type of law you're practicing, number of years you have been practicing law, your experience being a lawyer, pro bono work, community service and leadership activities you're part of, and professional organizations. If you're part of a certain club or an organization, it's good to mention that in the personal statement. And again, not in one sentence, just give few sentences for the admission committee to understand the nature of your work or involvement. And examples of your success. That is another topic you can discuss under professional background. Okay. So also, so we discuss personal background, academic and professional background. So those can be 3 paragraphs, or it could be past, present, and future. It could be 9 paragraphs, or you pick and choose. So I would think that about right now you have about 5 to 6 paragraphs worth of content. So I'm giving you some other tips for you to include, or the content to include, which is very useful. You can do that in your first opening paragraph. The answer to these questions can be in the first paragraph or your final conclusion paragraph. So your reason for applying to an LLM program, be specific. You can start out with that. Before you talk about your personal background, you can start out with that. All these questions, in this slide, content we're talking about, you can integrate any place. Again, just like I said, there's no certain structure or a template. How the specific LLM program will benefit your future. So if you are applying to a specific university, a specific concentration, you should be elaborate on why this specific law school, why this specific concentration. If you're applying for a general program, that's also fine that you can elaborate on that. And also do your homework to make sure that, just give me a second to get some water. Why are you applying to a specific law school? So please make sure you do your homework, go to their website, learn about their faculty, their expertise, and elaborate that in your personal statement. So why they should pick you? So this is the most important thing, like conclusion, thesis, final conclusion statement. You have to make a strong case. Because of my personal, professional, and my academic background, I think I will be a great candidate for your law school. So you have to come up with the strong final conclusion statement, convincing them why they should pick you. So this slide is, I think, I'm capturing kind of the beginning of your personal statement, the pieces you can add, or at the end, the pieces you can add. Okay, and there are some final tips, and then we'll get into questions. What you say and how you say it is very important. That means you have to sound very professional. Don't use slangs in your personal statement, or don't use like the texting, messaging kind of that type of language. This is a professional statement, and prioritize your thoughts. Make it sounds very your statement when admission committee reading. Make it sounds flow together, and strengthen your communication skills. Check your grammar, be professional, revise. It's okay, completely okay for you to write a first draft and then ask one of your teachers, professors, or a colleague, or another person you really value their opinion, ask them to read and give feedback. So it's important you write multiple drafts and finalize your final draft before you submit it, and make it the most polished version needed to be the one submit with the application packet. And also when I was putting together this presentation, I talked to our director of admissions, Helen, at our law school. And again, she have been in this field for a long time and read hundreds of personal statements. So her kind of boiled down to two-word, very simple, but very strong advice. It's be authentic. So you don't have to act like somebody else. Make sure that you communicate to the admission committee who you are, the way you are. So be authentic, be yourself, present yourself as you. So that's, I thought, very great advice. Okay, and I wanted to give you two other resources. Oval Purdue, this is a Purdue University Writing Center. They have some personal statement samples that you can read. And also LL.M guide. This is a website dedicated for LL.M programs. And there are some example personal statements that you can read. And again, you don't have to follow exact formats or anything, but it's good for you to get an idea before you start your statement. Or you write your statement and then read these sample personal statements to make sure that you didn't miss anything, or you can add. And if you like to apply to UC Davis School of Law LL.M program, we are still taking applications for August 2021 and January 2022. So I'm happy to put my email address in the chat box. You can send me if you wanted get hold of me and we can have a one-on-one session. I can help you fill out the application and answer your questions. I can guide you through the application process. So please write down my email address. I just put in the chat box. And now I'm going to go through the, I'm going to go through this. I see there are a lot of questions. So let me take one at a time and then go through these questions. Okay, let's start. Okay. Okay, does California Davis University teach online LL.M in American legal studies that entitle me to apply to ABA in California? So we don't have, right now, we don't have a LL.M program online, but in the future, maybe LL.M program may, you may able to take up LL.M program online in the future. But during COVID, we have been offering hybrid format, like online. Even if you're in another country, you could take classes, but program and a pre-law program that provide you to introduction to the US law. So I'm happy to provide you the pre-law program and the pre-LL.M program and the legal English program. Both are online this summer, starting up pretty soon in late June and July. So if you send me email, I'm happy to provide that information. So applying to the bar, I think that's the second part of your question, if I'm understanding correctly. That's something you have to check with the bar, the California bar, which are you qualified for the bar or not. But I know that the students go through our LL.M program that preparing for the bar is part of the curriculum or part of the program. So our students, when they graduate, if they like to take the California bar, they do take the bar examination. So, okay, we have another question. I should write one personal statement for all my applications, or should I write one for each university? Very good question. This is actually one of the kind of the biggest mistakes I have seen too. So let me talk about what you should do and what you shouldn't do. Very important. You can have one personal statement, a draft for yourself, but so don't think about any law schools. Just write a personal statement, a general one. But then when you apply, if you apply to like 2 law schools or 3 law schools, customize each personal statement. So what you shouldn't do, I have seen this before, that you may want to apply for UC Davis School of Law. But when I read your email, the personal statement, you may say, you start out saying, I'm really pleased to apply for University of Chicago Law. And then suddenly the admission committee knows that your attention to details and, oh, the student didn't really pay attention where they applied. Do they really care? Kind of those kind of red flags. So really, please make sure that the specific law school you're applying match with the specific personal statement you're planning to apply. So label them separately. Even so, you can label your general personal statement. And then you can say UC Davis School of Law personal statement, University of Chicago, University of Massachusetts, whatever would be. So that's very important. And I have seen this actually happening to students. So don't be rushed. Make sure that you don't submit the wrong personal statement. Also, this reminds me to mention that earlier we talked about do your research. So you have to make sure that in your personal statement, you make a point that why you applying to specific law school. So that section, very important. If you're applying to UC Davis, you talk about why you wanted to apply, because you know that we have a really great human rights law program and that inspired you. And the faculty, you can choose faculty's name and say you have read their work and you're very inspired by. So make sure you write that for the UC Davis School of Law, not for the School of Law in Chicago. If you're writing and for another school, you do that research. So admission committees wanted to see you spend time and energy, and you really wanted, from your heart, wanted to apply to this specific law school. So I'm really glad you brought this question up. Okay, next question. How does an applicant with a law GPA give a reasonable explanation in the personal statement? Just tell the truth. You just couldn't manage your time your first year, or whatever the reason. I mean, when we talk to a student, they may tell us, yeah, I did not know how to study in law school. It was too much pressure. And this is my first time living out of the country or city or from home. Or I had to go home, or I got sick, like whatever. Or I just simply decide to have a social life versus I didn't know how to balance things. whatever, even though your story doesn't have to be a good story, it has to be the real story. And then another question, how can I make a connection between my different activities experience in order to show that I'm a good student for this school? So yeah, so you have your resume and then pick and choose the kind of the areas I mentioned earlier, and make sure that you show yourself as a holistic student. That means you can balance activities like internships, research, or community service, or you were like the secretary of a club, whatever, that you were able to still get a good GPA and balance your work. So that's something that you can elaborate on. How is a personal statement different from a cover letter? Good question. So the field of admissions, people refer to mostly a personal statement, but a cover letter, when you're applying for a job, at least I'm talking about in the US. But if a law school asks you to write a cover letter instead of a personal statement, very well that they may be asking the similar content we talked about today. So it's very similar. Use two different names, but if they are asking, please submit a cover letter and a personal statement, both. So the cover letter can be very well like a simple one-pager saying, I'm submitting a personal statement, resume. It's kind of like an outline of your application packet. So you can interpret that way too. It depends on the situation, but UC Davis School of Law, we ask for a personal statement. But if a school just asks for cover letter, it's very well they're expecting for you to cover all these areas in that cover letter. But if they ask both, just use the cover letter as a kind of the formatting your application packet. Another question, is there a limitation to writing about family-related trauma which shape your future? Very good question. No, there's no limitations. It's about who you are and events that shape your life. And I think it's very appropriate, and it's okay to discuss, and that's kind of give you that the admission committee, this is a part of you, and this will help to get to know you. So I say just, yeah, that's great that you can elaborate on. There's another question, how can we show our commitment and desire toward a particular field if you want to apply for specific LL.M program and we have not done any? That's fine. You can just say that that's your interest. So even if you wanted to apply for like human rights law or environment law, you can say that you studied kind of all types of law during your undergraduate, but then when you took one class, environment law, that you felt you wanted to pursue your graduate education in that concentration. Or you don't even have to take a class when you finish your undergraduate degree, that you felt you're more passionate about this specific area for these reasons. So you don't have to back up with your experience. You can just say, these are the reasons that you wanted to future do something related to that. That's where your passion stands. So you can elaborate that way. Another great question, how long should an LL.M, a personal statement, should be? It depends. I would say 2 to 3 pages, but if you have more to write, that's fine, 4 pages. But normally we see about 2 pages, 3 pages. It's about quality versus quantity. But if you have a person done so many things and been in the field for a long time, I would not hold back. So, but the other kind of thing I want to add, some law schools may say, give a word limit for you. They may say 5,000 or 3,000. So make sure that you read really carefully. UC Davis School of Law, we don't have a word limit. So use your best judgment on that. Do universities require additional short essays? Yeah, so yes, some do. I think majority of the law schools don't, my experience again, some do. So it may be like 3 prompts, 3 questions. Maybe the first question may be, what are the contributions after your LL.M program you wanted to contribute to the society? That may be a one question. Another question, please tell us from your why we should think you're the best candidate. Or it could be like kind of a philosophical question that asking, give like a current topic, the global warming and loss. What I mean, this is if it is a specific program, they may ask a specific content related question. Yeah, so another question. It is better to talk about our other important things to discuss after our professional background. Yeah, after professional background, that if you have other important things, you can use one paragraph to discuss that. And again, there's no structure. You can do it at the beginning or integrate. That's totally okay, as long as going back to the point that make sure this all flow well. When is the deadline to apply? So UC Davis School of Law, we do have a rolling application process. That means if you submit everything today and want to apply for August 2021 this year, we still process applications. That means if you submit everything, we will process within a couple of weeks and we'll have a decision for you. We don't collect all the applications and we don't make decisions. We just make decisions as we go. And we are still taking applications up till August 1st. And so talk to me, send me email. I just dropped my email address in the box. And about scholarships, good news with UC Davis School of Law, you don't have to submit a separate scholarship application. When you submit your law school application, the LL.M application, we consider you for the available scholarships. And what else? Really great questions. Okay, thanks, Aliyah, for sharing your email address. I'll take a picture of that, but if you can send me an email, that's going to be really helpful. Okay, so somebody have some long-term experience. So talking about English test. So if you have done your first degree, doesn't matter how long ago, in English, like your LLB in English medium, we can waive your TOEFL or IELTS. If you have done in your own native language, that point that you have to take TOEFL or IELTS. But if you, due to COVID, if you're having some difficulties taking one of those examinations, let me know, send me an email. We can see how we would love to work with you to figure out that part. And if you already applied and submitted a personal statement, can you send an additional or updated version, having had the privilege to listen to you in this presentation? That's a compliment. Thank you so much. It's depend on which law school you applied. You can ask that question. You can simply say that I have some additional, I did some additional thinking. You can be polite on this. You can say, I did some additional thinking and some additional research, and I wanted to submit a newer version of my personal statement. If they're okay with that, I'm sure they will be allow you to submit. If you have done a submit application to UC Davis School of Law, and if you have already submitted, just send me an email. I'm happy to get a newer version, and I take this as a compliment, and I'm glad you listened and to this presentation. Sounds like this was productive for you. Okay, 4 pages, double space. This is a regular graduate student question. Even in a PhD program, students ask, is it single space or a double space? I would say that it can be either. That the 2 to 3 pages I was thinking about in my mind, it's single spaces. But it can be, it is okay to be 4 double space too. So there's no, again, specific rules related to, but the most personal statement I have seen, it's single space because it's like a letter. It's not a research paper. Research paper that there's an APA style and this different styles, but the double space are encouraged. But the personal statements, at least my knowledge, I have seen it's more like a letter. So it's single spaced. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome. What kind of experience do you look for in a LLM personal statements? What would make a personal statement stand out? So again, it's pretty much summary of everything you have done. So don't hold back. So if you have done internships, if you have done research, if you have done community services, if you're part of a club, in addition to academic, also highlight your academics. There's no like a measurement that admission officers don't go through and say, oh, this person done this, so this person get this much points. There's no like most schools don't have that kind of a measurement, but holistically, it is presenting yourself. So include all the things that we talked about in this presentation, your academic background, personal, professional background. I think you will be in good shape. Another thank you. Yes, thank you so much. And again, my email address one more time. It's skugel@ucdavis.edu. And I'm happy to connect with you. We are still taking applications. So even if you're planning to apply not this year, in a couple of years down the road, just please connect with me. And thank you so much again, Education USA, giving me this opportunity, and I'm honored to always work with you.
Well, thank you so much, Samudra. We're very honored to work with you as well. And thank you so much for offering such great advice based on your own expertise and perspective. And also because you're not feeling well and you have the cough, thank you so much for taking the time and being with us. And we wish you good health and get well soon from your cough. Thank you everyone for joining us today, and we look forward to having future sessions with you on related subjects on graduate study. Thank you so much, Samudra. Marwa, you have a few last words to say?
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for the audience. I wanted to mention that.
Thank you so much, Samudra, again, and thank you everyone for sharing so many great questions as well. Again, if you have any questions for UC Davis, please feel free to contact Samudra. She shared her contact information in the chat box. Also, if you have any questions for Education USA Advising Centers, please feel free to contact the nearest Education USA Advising Center in your country. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.